In Brussels, a man breaks into a CIA black vault and steals a canister. He exits the vault, gunning down a security guard before passing the canister off to men on the street. The men drop the bag off at the side of the road, and it's delivered to a man in a car. In Langley, CIA agent Anna Brand arrives at her office. She tries calling the man, but he ignores her call. In Belgium, Ben Logan lives with his formerly estranged daughter Amy, who recently moved from the States. He is worried about her failing grades and urges her to put some effort into her work. Her friend Sadie comes to pick her up, and she reminds Ben not to be late for her portrait awards ceremony later. Ben works at the Kohler Company, a subsidiary of the Halgate Group, where he tests ways to breach security measures such as locks and iris scanners used on military and government structures. One day, his coworker discovers that Halgate doesn't own the patents of the products they test, which is puzzling to Ben, and he brings it up to the company owner, Derek Kohler, the man from the car, but Derek doesn't seem concerned and asks Ben to keep it between them while he investigates. Derek reminds him of his presentation tonight and ignores Ben when he mentions his daughter. Ben works until late that night and leaves a package for head office before rushing out, unaware he is being watched. Amy wins first place, but by the time Ben arrives, Logan has already left with some friends. He finds Amy at an arcade hanging out with a friend, Nabil, who she tells him is helping her with her next project. Ben doesn't think she should be hanging out at that arcade, but Amy hits back, telling him he should show up on time. Amy is hungry, so Ben hands her cookies, but she has an allergic reaction and is rushed to the hospital. She is discharged the next morning, and he apologizes for forgetting her allergy. Ben stops by his office to pick up a package, but when he gets to his office, he is shocked to see the floor cleared out with no sign that anyone was there. Concerned, Ben tries calling the office number, but his battery dies. He heads outside to use the payphone, where he speaks with a woman but learns there is no record of the Kohler Company existing. He thinks it's a misunderstanding and plans to drive to Brussels to clear everything up. He arrives at the Halgate head office and asks to speak with Derek, but learns there's no employee by that name. Meanwhile, Amy is taking photos, but a security guard stops her. Ben gets belligerent and is brought by security to see the Halgate CEO and learns they never had a subsidiary known as Kohler and don't create the products the supposed company makes. Ben is certain, explaining how he was recruited and trying to show them the emails and contacts he has with the Halgate Group. But when he turns on his cell phone, it has been wiped. The men then conclude that Ben has been working for a company that doesn't exist, testing products they don't make, and reporting to an officer they have never employed. He stops by the bank to get records of his salary deposits, but the bank has no records. Just then, a former co-worker, Floyd, comes up to Ben, seemingly confused as well, but suddenly holds a gun to Ben, telling him to be quiet. Floyd kidnaps both Ben and Amy and forces him to drive, ignoring Ben's questions about the company. Ben hints to Amy to fasten her seatbelt, then hits the gas. Floyd orders him to slow down, and Ben hits the brake, sending Floyd into the windshield. Ben and Floyd struggle for the gun, but during the struggle, the car accelerates and overturns. Floyd fires on Amy, who is trying to escape, but Ben attacks him. He demands to know who Floyd is working for, but Floyd doesn't talk and dies. He then takes Floyd's cash and keys before grabbing a shocked Amy and escaping on foot as the cops arrive. With the cops searching for them, Ben gets to a neighborhood and breaks into a random house to take refuge. Amy still cannot believe Ben killed a man and thinks they should go to the cops, but Ben knows the cops won't help them. Amy has a whole bunch of questions, but Ben has no idea what is going on. He, however, begs her to trust him, as the safest place for her is at his side. They take a train back to Brussels and stop in the train station, where they see news reports of their incident. Ben cautions Amy about the cameras before telling her to stay put as he plans to find the locker Floyd's key belongs to. He gets to the lockers, but Amy notices some cops have caught on to Ben and goes to alert him. Ben notices the cops on his tail and grabs a package from the locker before disappearing. Amy sees no sign of Ben, and the cops catch on to her, forcing her to escape. Luckily, Ben is nearby and pulls her into a group of people, escaping. Ben goes through the package to see pictures of his co-workers and photos of Amy and her grandfather back in America, causing her to panic. Ben marks all the addresses on a map, then locates a hospital in the area and plans to visit it. Ben and Amy visit the hospital's morgue, only to find out all his coworkers have been killed by various methods. He then finds the worker that wrote the part number on her hand and takes down the number. Outside, a man arrives asking for Ben and Amy. Amy thinks Ben is hiding something from her, noting all the things she has seen him do, and thinks she doesn't know who he really is. Just then, the assassin spots them and opens fire. The two take off running, with the assassin still shooting at them, hitting doctors and nurses in his way. Ben and Amy escape onto a floor and hide. The assassin comes searching, and when he finds Amy, Ben attacks him. The two fight for the gun, throwing each other around, but the assassin gets the upper hand. Before he can shoot Ben, Amy attacks him and gets grazed, allowing Ben to kill him. Cops flood the hospital floor, but Ben and Amy escape through a window and steal a car to escape. He tends to her wound in a restaurant bathroom, where he explains that the list he found was a hit list and Floyd was a professional government assassin. Amy's mother only told her Ben worked for the government, but Ben explains that he was a CIA agent. At Langley, Anna meets with her bosses, who explain that Floyd and the other assassin were CIA assets, both killed by Ben, a former asset of Anna's. Anna explains that Ben was decommissioned 6 months ago after he stopped following orders, and the Oversight Committee had punished him by banning him from returning to the USA. The men show Anna the break-in at the vault, where sensitive documents related to the Department of Justice were stolen. It turns out the CIA was collecting evidence against Halgate after one of their merchant vessels sank, killing its crew. All families were paid off except one that pushed a lawsuit, and the family's lawyers stumbled upon incriminating evidence of Halgate shipping illegal arms to destabilize countries for gain. That is the CIA's job, and they need the evidence to take them down. The only lead they have is that Ben was in Belgium at the time of the theft, and they want Anna to find him, recalling they had an intimate relationship. Anna then calls Derek, who breaks into the capsule. He is pissed that the CIA burned him and his colleagues and plans to hold on to the stolen evidence as security for his life. In the restaurant, Ben explains his job for the CIA as getting people in and out of difficult situations and apologizes to Amy for lying to her all this time. He thinks he was being used by an unknown group to break into security products and plans to investigate the part number he took down. They also need a place for the night, so Amy makes a phone call to Nabil, who gets his older brother Kareem to help them out. They offer Kareem €2,000, so he helps them get a change of clothes and gets them on transport to Brussels, where they get a room with a family. There, Amy tells him that her mother couldn't stop talking about him and thinks she still loved Ben up until her last moments. Meanwhile, Anna arrives in Brussels at the CIA vault and begins her investigations to track Ben down. At Halgate headquarters, Halgate lawyer Mr. Bramer is settling with another grieving family when he gets a call from Anna. She demands answers as to why he had to kill the Colher employees when they had a deal and they planned to meet. It turns out Bramer wanted the Halgate evidence, and Anna set up the break-in to retrieve it for him. She was running the Colher company as a covert operation to breach the vaults and capsule's security and had secretly employed Ben, as he is the best. Bramer explains that Ben had begun snooping around and needed him gone. He thinks Ben is just an engineer, but Anna tells him Ben is actually CIA Black Ops, and when he finds out what is going on, Halgate and Anna will go down. Bramer tells her to focus on finding Colher, as he has brought in an expert to deal with Ben. We then see the assassin Maitland arriving in Brussels, and his first target is Nabil. Kareem is at home when he enters and sees the assassin holding his daughter. Ben and Amy are at an internet cafe looking into the patent number he took down, which turns out to belong to Total Securities in New York, but when he calls the number, he realizes it's a CIA line. Anna has found the company, Marcus Wolf Investments, that leased Ben's office space and also has another address in Brussels. She has booked them a viewing in 30 minutes, leaving Ben impressed. Meanwhile, Nabil returns home to see Kareem dead, but his daughter is still alive. Ben and Amy arrive at the address, but it also seems to have been cleared out in a hurry. Ben asks the realtor for a minute, then reconnects a landline and begins to speak in French to a woman on the line, pretending to be Derek and requesting Marcus Wolf. Meanwhile, Anna's team picks up the call made from the location, and Anna recognizes Ben's voice. Ben tracks Marcus Wolf down to a hotel and gets his room number. He leaves Amy in the lobby, reminding her how to move and to be his eyes and ears. Derek gets to his hotel room to find the door open. He hears the shower and enters cautiously, but Ben attacks him, revealing Marcus Wolf is his alias. Ben beats him down, demanding to know why he was used to hack into the CIA. Meanwhile, Amy spots CIA agents led by Anna enter the lobby. Anna enters an elevator, and Amy discreetly enters, then gets off and rushes up the stairs, trying to beat the agents and pulling the fire alarm to stall them. Derek slowly begins to confess that a woman had set everything up to retrieve the documents in the canister and that he is actually CIA. Amy bursts into the room, shocked at the sight, and Derek uses the gun to end himself. Ben and Amy rush out of the room with the capsule just as Anna gets to the room to see Derek dead. The two manage to escape to a parking lot where agents open fire on Ben, who returns fire until Anna orders her agents to stand down. Anna calls out to him, telling him to come in and the agency will protect them. Amy manages to sneak to the valet office and begins setting off the cars, distracting Anna before Ben ambushes her and holds a gun to her head. Anna warns that the agency will kill them both if he doesn't trust her, but Ben refuses to as he thinks Anna burned him 6 months ago. She tells him he is wrong, but Amy pulls up in a car and Ben escapes with the capsule. Amy demands to know who Anna is to Ben, but when Ben tells her Anna was just a coworker, she doesn't believe him and hits the gas, demanding to also know what a kill squad is, as she heard Anna mention it. Ben finally pulls the handbrake, bringing the car to a halt. He reveals that he killed people for the CIA and did the dirty work that nobody else wanted. Amy breaks down. She accuses Ben of ripping her away from the life and friends she had in America, all because he wanted to play being a father. Amy storms out of the car and jumps on a train, leaving Ben behind. She gets back to the home they were staying at and calls her grandfather, begging him to come home. There is a knock at the door, and the owner goes to answer but is attacked by someone. It is Maitland, who has found her. Ben gets back to the apartment to see the residents mourning over a dead body, but is relieved to see it's not Amy. He heads outside and runs into Nabil, who demands vengeance for his brother, so Ben makes him tag along. Nabil then takes them to a friend's house, where Ben finally goes through the files to see the evidence against Halgate and sees where Halgate has been shipping weapons to destabilize countries for their lithium resources. He also sees Anna's name on their payroll. Ben then calls Anna to set up a meeting at a train station. Anna arrives at the station with CIA agents and hears a payphone ring. Ben tells her to get onto a carriage, but once the train begins to move, he tells her to get off, leaving her without her agents. He then directs her to get onto another train nearby. There, she finds Ben sitting alone. He shows her the file with her name and wonders how long she has been a traitor, but she tells him it's just business. She warns him to hand over the documents to Halgate, as she cannot protect him or Amy from them. Ben sends a message to the Halgate boss, warning him to hand over Amy or he is a dead man. At Nabil's friend's home, Ben creates explosives using the knowledge he has. Meanwhile, we see James Halgate III being brought to court to settle with another family. After the hearing, Ben approaches James in the crowd and hands him a cell phone. James hands the cell phone off to Bramer, and Ben tells him he will get the evidence when he knows Amy is safe. Bramer spots Ben walking, and his men chase after him into a subway, but Ben attacks the men and knocks them down before disappearing. Anna barges into James's office, demanding to speak with him. She warns James that Ben will kill him if he shows up and wants to head the exchange. James thinks she is overly concerned about Ben, but Anna tells him she wants to fix the situation as she won't get paid if things blow up. He gets the address from Ben, but allows Anna to go through with her plan. At the meet location, Ben prepares a suitcase designed to trigger an explosive along with the Halgate evidence. Anna gets Amy from holding for the exchange. They get outside when Anna suddenly shoots 2 of the guards dead, but Maitland fatally stabs her in the stomach. Amy takes off running, but Maitland catches her. Ben is at the meet spot when he sees James, Bramer, and his men arrive. Ben comes to them holding a gun, demanding Amy, but Bramer asks him for the evidence. James shows him Amy and warns Ben not to make the same mistake as Anna. Bramer then changes the deal. Now they want Logan as part of the exchange for Amy's release. Ben hands over his gun, and Amy is released to him. Ben then hands her the rest of the cash he has, telling her to leave as he has to stay behind. Amy breaks down crying, but Ben has no choice, and Nabil soon arrives on a bike to collect her. Ben hands over the briefcase holding the evidence to a pleased James, who makes plans with Bramer to take out Amy and her grandfather within a week's time. Maitland leads Ben to a car, but there Ben hands him another piece of the evidence for James. Maitland hands the paper to James, but when he opens the briefcase a second time, his car explodes, killing James, Bramer, and Maitland. Nabil drops Amy at the airport, and the two share a kiss. She waits for what seems like forever until it's time to board her flight, when she hears the attendants calling for a Marcus Wolf. Recalling the name, Amy stares hopefully until she sees Ben, and the two hug in tears.